This is Devin Mann from Man Versus. The following episode of Man Versus was recorded at All In Recording Studios. In order to win, you got to be all in. You hear me? All In Recording Studios. Let's get it, baby. What's up, everyone? How you doing? It's Devin again with Man's Versus, and I'm here to bring on a very special guest, a very good friend, and a special guest of mine. And introduce yourself.
Okay, hey y'all, my name is Kiya Stanford. I go by Kiya Nichelle on all my socials, and I am an entrepreneur, content creator, and micro influencer.
So today's topic that we're going to touch on is pretty much Black women in the workspace. And, we're going to get kind of deep, and I hope me and Kiya agree on some things. We might disagree on some things. And we're just going to talk about, a lot of stuff in today's age and today's era dealing with Black women and sexism, racism, and all that good stuff. Because I feel like we talk a lot about Black guys and we don't talk that much about Black women. I know we had the whole sexual assault thing, but besides that, I feel like, we should give our queens a little bit of spotlight. Isn't that right, Kiya? Period. All right. So I did hear you say when you introduced yourself that you were a content creator and an entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how did you get into being an entrepreneur? Because when I knew you, you had a job at AT&T, right?
Yeah. Ooh, that was
So yeah, talk about that and get a little bit into it.
So basically, I feel like I've always had like an entrepreneurial spirit. Like I was that kid who would get in trouble from the earliest I can remember is kindergarten. Like I was selling candy to the kids at 5. So I kind of always had like a grind hustle mentality and get it by yourself. And that kind of just developed the older I got. I went to a specialty high school and my track was business. I was a marketing major when I was in college. And I worked in my career development center at Georgia State University, where I graduated from in 2019. So from there, I was kind of, when you work in a career center, you kind of are groomed for corporate or working within organizations because that's all you deal with. You're either hosting recruiters, doing different workshops and helping other students on campus to get a more traditional job. So that kind of segued me in to meeting a recruiter at AT&T who was my soror. And it was an easy process. They made it look real. Well, backstory on AT&T, if anybody doesn't know, it's a Fortune 10 company, not a Fortune 500, Fortune 200, Fortune 100. It's literally like the 9th grossing corporation in the world. So the resources that they're able to give to their employees and throughout the organization, I want to say that I was recruited like a D1 athlete. Like they flew to Dallas. We had like a conference per se. They gave me Ray-Bans, Bose, is it Bose or Bose, whatever, like speakers.
The headphones?
Yeah, well, a portable, whatever.
Oh, Bose.
Yeah, Boost. What is it called? Like a speaker, like a portable speaker.
Yeah, like a little like pill.
Yeah.
Okay.
That they brought us out one night with like unlimited drinks and unlimited food. And then for our last interview, like they gave me a jersey with my name on it. Like
I was trying to get you for real.
I was being recruited and the salary looked nice, especially like right out of college. Then they give you your like earning potential because I was in sales. So fast forward, I moved to Dallas, Texas in February of 2020.
Okay.
So that was pre-COVID world. Nobody could have realized what was going to happen. So with that, I was in a training program, live, work, play, basically with all of my coworkers. And I'm from Decatur, Georgia. I went to a predominantly Black high school. I grew up in a predominantly Black community my entire life. And I went to Georgia State. Like Georgia State's not a HBCU, but it's a minority serving institution.
Yeah, it's not PWI.
It's not a PWI, not by the numbers now. The majority of the students there are either Black, Asian. We have a high international population. So it's a minority-centered school. And I'm in the heart of downtown. You see a whole bunch of crazy shit, period. So I went from that kind of space to a completely white space. That was a challenge within itself But then COVID happened. So then there's the isolation aspect of it. You really get to see the politics and how the organization and this is not bashing anybody, it's just my personal experience. You get to see how the organization runs when you're not in the space. And that transition was just a lot for me. I want to say I was only in the office for about 7 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks before COVID happened. And then everything was remote. And in that, I'm in a different state. I had made some friends at that point, but I wanted to come home. So I worked remote for about remote from Atlanta. Like I flew back when they were making it seem like wherever you are, you're going to get stuck there because they're going to shut like all the airplanes. So I quickly caught a flight back to Atlanta. And I worked here from about the end of March until the beginning of May. And then I went back. And by that point, like I was crying on the clock every day. It was a lot. Like a sales like environment in general is a lot. But in terms of the space I was in mentally, plus how the politics were in that company, I just couldn't. So I worked at AT&T from February of 2020 to the last day of August. So I was there for 7 months. I had already filed all my paperwork for my business in July, but I began to lean into it after I let go of that corporate environment. So that's kind of how I got officially into entrepreneurship. So I'm officially a year in business as of July 8th, 2 days ago. So I haven't gone without, by the grace of God, since I quit corporate. It's not the money wasn't as long as soon as you hopped out for sure, because they were giving you like COVID bonuses and all that other stuff, but haven't gone without. So we'll take it for what it is.
Okay, so I hear that you keep saying politics. Now, is that a nice word for like what I think it is, or?
I mean, it's just politics, company culture, interchange the two. You know what I'm saying? When you're in an organization that large, there's a lot of mechanics that goes into the day-to-day, even if you're not on a certain level. And I was entry level, so I was a worker bee, period. I guess technically, if you look at the organization as a whole, I did have a higher rank because I was in the corporate end of the company, that they have like retail stores. I wasn't in that space. Like I was in a corporate setting, office, open workspace, computer, all that. That was what I did. But in terms of hierarchy and what you see in terms of the whiteness of corporate America, I don't like imposing on me personally. I would prefer not to have to, on a regular basis, impose on spaces that were not created for me, people who look like me, or for my benefit. So getting into that space and just like the microaggressions, which I can say that I didn't experience as much or as heavy as people would like flame on social media, like when the worst of the worst happens and make a whole Twitter thread about it. That wasn't my experience. However, just like little nuances and it wasn't my steez. And I do want to say as well, like I lived in corporate housing on the same campus that I worked on. So everybody in your sales class that you come in with, you all live within the same apartment complex. You eat the same meals together. So there was also no real like disconnect unless it was the weekend and then you break up into your friend groups. But I'm a person who watches people before I get into situations. So just seeing how privilege allows people to move, like not on a corporate level, but on just like their entire life, because we lived in these same complexes, would hang out in each other's houses after work. I was just not a fan ever. Like that was the most hyper and like the environment was just so closed off. Like I wouldn't just going from what I'm used to that kind of environment. I wish I had a different segue,
Yeah, I 100% agree with you with the whole like microaggressions and like companies paying politics and all the favoritism and even you know, like I know a female in the workplace and a male in the workplace is two different things. But like being a black person in the workplace, like I kind of get it. Like they for some reason they think your name is harder to say than what it really is. Like I
Yeah.
had this one guy, I told him that my name was Devin. He was like, "Is that short for Devontae?" And I was just like,
Whoa.
I was just
See,
like, what?
I'm real quick to learn, and I would have been an HR like junkie because who the bro like
Yeah,
that?
it was really weird. And I was just like, what? I was like, that dog. I just said my name was like if my name was like Devontae or like, you know, Quan or something like that, I would just say, hey, like this is my name. It's not short for anything. Like I don't know how y'all do it or whatever, but I was like, I don't know, that kind of and that was I think that was like my second or third week into my like coming out of college into my job. And I was just like, okay, that kind of blew me
Yeah.
a little bit. But then things got like a lot of better or whatever. Um, you know, in the years, because like when I was at ADP, it was like super diverse, like super, super diverse. And they were very big on, you know, like trying to hire the same amount, you know, of white, black, Latino, right? All that stuff, like Asian and everything. And like, I will say they probably hired more women than males. I will
Okay.
say that because like on my team, it was 4 males and it was like, I think 10 other women. And then like even on like the other teams in different like different states, because kind of like you, like we got hired in a class, quote unquote, and so we flew out to New York to get trained, and in the class it was like probably 10 guys and like 40 girls, and I was
Okay.
like, God damn, I was like, did any guys get like, did we not apply? Like I was very confused, like it was really weird. Yeah, it was weird, and I was like, oh, whatever, cool. But then I also started to hate my job. I don't know if you hated your job, but like COVID kind of just ruined everything for me.
Oh yeah. It was
Like
terrible.
it was,
Right on the clock. I said that like, and I'm not that person. Like I was overwhelmed on a regular basis because to add fuel to the fire, I worked in small business sales. When I tell you small businesses were crashing like flies at the beginning of COVID, and everybody's just calling asking for, can you help me? I can't do anything for you, love. I can't make the prices go lower. I can't make sure, you know what I'm saying? And then that just adds another level of empathy. And because that happened to me early on in the career, that's no longer my career, it kind of gave me a perspective. Okay, this is not a people-centered thing whatsoever. And that's one of my main tenets personally. So it's like, do you just continue on when you, one, know you're not happy, and two, they don't value the same things that like to your, like every company has a core value. I would assume that when you do some introspection as individuals, you have core values too. And if you're working in an environment that don't align with what that is for you, there's no way that you can be happy in that space. So
no, a hundred
I feel
percent, big.
the blinders came up quick for me. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
no, 100%. Because even when I was doing my little account management thing, like
Mm-hmm.
so we do this thing called like upsells, where even though you have a package, like we
Yeah.
can kind of finesse you to like get like some like a little bit extra to like get like a little extra money or whatever like out of you. And I was like, damn, we doing this during COVID. I was like, this is like, and they were pushing it hard. Like they were pushing it like we had weekly and monthly team meetings, quote unquote. Like the weekly ones were like really short, like, you know, how y'all doing, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Then the monthly ones were like with the longer ones, like, you know, what are the metrics? Like, what are the numbers for this month? Okay, cool. Like, I think most people have that, right? And in the weekly meetings, it was like a key point to get people to upsell to the, and I'm like, in my mind, I was like, bro, like people are going broke, going
Yeah.
homeless, businesses are shutting down everywhere, and y'all over here talking about upsell. I was like, I don't know. In my mind, I was like, this kind of messed up. Like this cold blooded. Yeah, I was like, this is messed up. And then I got to the point to like where I was so miserable. I was like, bro, I gotta find a new job. And luckily, I found a new job, and my new job is so cool now. Like, it's less hands-on with, you know, people, and it's more like, hey, here's a project, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, monthly projects, like you just gotta do these, and as long as you do them, they leave you alone. And I love it so much.
Yeah.
But as another Black person that's an entrepreneur, I am like for 90% of Black people just doing their own thing.
Yes.
Like, I don't think corporate, or let me say this, I don't think typical corporate America fits us like at all.
Correct.
Like, I feel like we got to try harder to get into there. Like, I thought there was this thing where I couldn't get an interview because I was Black. Like, I really did feel that. I was like, dang, like, because I was sending my resumes to like people that do resumes, you know, like do like type them up or whatever. And they'd be like, bro, your resume is fine. Like, I don't know what more, you know what I'm saying? And then I was doing cover levers. And then like I've had experience since not high school, since college. Cause like I had internships, I had did my account management job for 2 years, whatever. And I was like, why can't I find a job? I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I know it's COVID and people are hurting, but I was like, I feel like I didn't get no callbacks, like zero. And the crazy part is, while that was happening, my photography business was booming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was getting booked like 3, 4, 5 months in advance. Like,
Yeah.
people, there was even times where I had to put on my Instagram, like, you know, no bookings for February and March. Like, I'm fully booked up every weekend, like from 12 to like 8. Like, there's no room or whatever. So I'm kind of with you on the whole entrepreneurship, because you're an entrepreneur, right?
I am. So the business that I started, I guess middle COVID. I mean, COVID's still going on. Let me not act like I'm one of
Oh,
the.
COVID is 100% still a thing.
But like
America is just dumb.
the early days, so the end of summer last year, beginning of summer, whatever, I started my business KNL Co. LLC, which is a creative agency. So what I do is completely in the digital space. I do digital marketing, PR, content creation, media management, and also consulting for small brands and businesses to help them design their brand and create their online presence, whether that's through social, um, through traditional media, but through digital, which would be like magazines, online magazines, things like that, and help them get media placement, which is what PR is. So I will say, honestly, corporate killed the fuck out of my spirit. So I took a sabbatical. I took a sabbatical basically from October to December. Um, at 23, I don't know who I thought I was, but I just felt like I deserved it. Whatever, we're gonna just be out here traveling, living our best life. So I did that for 3 months, and then I just started going hard on client acquisition in December. So the first check started coming in January, and then been going every month since then. So
So how did you land on like content creation and, you know, digital marketing and things like that? Because you could have went, because, you know, with your degree and like what you've done at Georgia State, you could have went anywhere. Like, you could have did a bunch of different things.
yeah. So it was kind of like a stick to what you know. I will say that I was one of those kids who was like obsessed with the internet. Like, it's really bad. Like Tumblr. I never went back to MySpace. I never really did Facebook either, but like I was a Tumblr kid. Like in high school, I had a YouTube. I eat social media up like all day, every day. And I watch YouTube all day, every day. So I've always known that there was ways to monetize your online presence, and that there's a disconnect, especially with the majority of people in the workforce and who have these successful small businesses still being boomers, and then like people born in the 70s and such that they're not digital natives. So just being able to tap into the knowledge that I had, because I've been using it for myself, and because I do have a marketing background, I understand the fundamentals and the bread and butter and the business side of it, as well as just the implementation of it. I was just like, okay, I've been doing this. Like, I've done graphic design for clients in college, just because my dad called himself starting a business, and he put me on as the VP of marketing. So when we actually got clients, I would be the one doing the work. So it's not something I hadn't done before. I just never leaned into it all the way to see the potential that could be grown from it. Nor did I know all the tools and like platforms that can be used to streamline the processes and make it so that even an individual can do it for multiple clients without much extra work, because there's platforms to just do everything after you have the knowledge. And that's half the thing. When you're in marketing, especially digital marketing, for my clients more so, it's not that any of the work is hard. It's just that they don't have the time to do it. So you outsource that. And there's plenty of people who will outsource the most minute tasks, especially when it comes to the internet and you're working with somebody who's not a digital native.
Yeah.
Don't have the desire to learn how to use our social media platforms or go into the back office of their websites to analyze the traffic or design how those pages will look. Like, that's the market that I look onto, just because locally, especially in Atlanta, and I will honestly say I have not worked with a client who was not Black. I mean, it's not anything personal. It's just word of mouth is easier for me to.
Oh my God, bro. So like, as you know, because I've shot you a couple times. As you know, like I'm a photographer and a videographer, right? Or as I don't know, video as of late, people have been wanting to say film creator. Like I don't know why, but anyways, backtrack that. Like I can't remember who it was, but some girl had asked me, like, do you shoot white people? And I was like, I mean, yeah, if y'all book me.
Yeah.
And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, I mean, like, these aren't people that I'm like, yeah, you have, you know, when you first start off or when you want to collab, like you can DM someone or email someone to collab with them. But I was like, 90% of my clients come to me. Like, I don't go to them, like, because they're, like you said, like they're outsourcing, like they need something, like they need a, you know, graduation photo, a birthday picture, or even like, you know, recently I've been doing a lot of brands. I was like, they need like a brand shot or a headshot, or like I've been doing real estate lately. And I'm like, these are the people that are coming to me. I'm not really going to them. And she was kind of confused. And I was like, okay, let me put it this way. Walmart doesn't make people shop there. You go there willingly. And she was like, oh, okay, yeah. I was like, yeah, I'll shoot a white person, but y'all don't book me. Y'all don't come to me. Y'all don't do anything to me. But I do kind of like the fact that I like 99% of my clientele are Black, because I don't know. It's just kind of like you see them and like you kind of know what vibes we're on. Like it's a little bit more chill. You get the slang a little bit, you know, it's like a little flavor to it. You feel me? And like I feel like it's more the climate when you're shooting someone, or in your case, when you're branding with a Black person, is like I feel like it's a little bit more relaxed. Like, yeah, it's business, but also it's like oh, like I know you. Like I become friends with some of my clients. Like they've invited me to birthday parties. Like they've been like, oh, you're really cool, blah, blah, blah. I see them in public. We catch up, we talk a little bit. So I kind of do like the fact that 99% of my clients are Black. Nothing against any other race or anything like that, but it's just like, you know, like it just feels like home. You know what I mean?
The commonality you don't have to feel like you have to put on in order to be successful with the interaction.
Yes, like I don't have to do a facade of like who I am or things like that. Because even when like, because I shoot like a lot of Africans and a lot of Black Americans, and like even then, it's like we still be on the same page. Like it's just the same thing. I don't know. It just feels a lot more comfortable, because you said like a lot of your clients are Black, right? Or all of them?
Yeah.
All of your clients are Black. Okay, yeah. All the clients are Black. And then like word of mouth goes a long way. Like that's why like grad season is so big. Like this past grad season, man, this was like crazy, because you do one person's photo and they tell like 10 other people, then they all want to try to book you, and you can only, you know, fit so many in a day. Oh man, it was such a good season. Amen.
That's what we like to hear. That's what we
Yeah.
like.
So with your digital creation and marketing and things like that, what do you find is a good route for other Black women um, to get into the space of having your own job and doing your own thing, and you know, making enough money to where you can live off of it? Because I know like that's like a big thing for a lot of people, a lot of women especially, is like, you know, they don't want to go broke, like they don't want to go without, they want to, you know, be successful. So like what would you say?
One, especially when it comes to any digital type of business, there's low barriers to entry. Like everybody has internet for the most part. Everybody has a smartphone, usually, even if you don't have a laptop or a tablet. So just look to one, something that would honestly interest you. Don't just do something because it seems like quick money. That's like the dumbest. There's no such thing as easy money, period. Like, one, if you go into it with that mindset, there's not going to be much success because you won't have any drive behind it. And as soon as it's not going how you want, you'll just drop it. So the main thing I would say is, one, find something that you thoroughly enjoy, and then do your due diligence on ways to monetize it. But also, everything that you like to do does not need to be monetized, because then you may not enjoy it anymore. So, and I think it's also self-reflection. Like, I know that you said you believe that 90% of Black people need their own stuff. Some people just are not out of a worker bee mentality. So if you know you cannot sustain yourself or have the drive to be getting up every single day and working on something, like, it's not a 9 to 5 anymore. Like, you have to do work every single day. If you're not that person, it's okay to thrive in whatever organization you work at. That's perfectly fine. As
Well,
long as
let me say this, and I don't mean to cut you off. I probably shouldn't have said like have their own company, but I think like 90% of Black people should either have their own company or work for another Black company.
okay.
Because like there are, okay, prime example, there was a guy, he does like brakes and tires and things like that, right? Like he'll change your tires for you, he'll do your brakes for you, your rotors, struts, things like that. And he has like, I think he told me he has like 10 employees or so, like about a dozen employees, but they're all Black.
Mm-hmm.
And even though he does like not majority of the work, but like he runs the company, he does the numbers, the taxes, and all that stuff, he does have Black employees. And that's what I mean. Like, I think like we as Black people should hire more Black people, because, and I had this epiphany on Twitter the other day, and I said, like, I was wondering why like we price our things so high, but yet in America, like the average Black family income is like $40,000.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it doesn't make any sense that our, you know, the average Black income is $40,000, but like there's $100 haircuts, there's $400 to $1,000 braids, like there's wigs that cost like, yeah, bro, like the way that I see women complain about hairstylists and like makeup and things like that, like how much more expensive it's getting over time, like I'd be like, dang, y'all really going through it. And it's recently starting to happen to the males too, like on our end. Like, I can remember just 2 years ago, I was paying $30 for a haircut. I was like, man, $30, you know, and they was doing everything. Like put the blade on you, you know what I'm saying? Fading you, you get a part on the side, shampoo and condition. I was like, okay, but I can justify $30 for that. Because usually it's 20 and then the $5 tip. But then it was 30, and I was like, okay, bet, but they doing everything. I was like, okay, that's fair. Mm-hmm. Now you can't find a barber for like less than 60. And they took away some stuff. So now it's 60 and it's like regular cut. That's it. Like no razor, no nothing on you. Like just a regular. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But then I started thinking about it, and I was saying, maybe if we kept the money more in the community for the vast majority of like what we do, right? Like, you know, where you shop at, where you get your food from, how you get your hair done, you know, oil changes, car mechanics, and all that stuff. Like some stuff we can't control, like where you live at, or like, you know, where your energy comes from in Georgia, because it's all Georgia power, you know, where you buy your car at, or maybe kind of sort of with your car, because you can buy used cars from Black people. Okay, cool. But I was like, it doesn't make any sense how the average family income in America for Black people is $40,000, but yet we are pricing each other on white people's prices.
I don't know how I feel about that statement.
No, we do, because like my white friends, they pay like $70 for a haircut, but they only get their haircut cut like once every 2 months, because I don't know, like whatever white people do or whatever. And like even the way they get their hair done, like they charge those prices, but they make white people's money. Like they're making the $70,000, $80,000, and not saying that there aren't Black people who don't make that money, but on average, the median white family income is like, I think $69,000 or something like that, or $70,000 for white people. That's almost double what for Black people. So to me, it was kind of as backwards that we're charging white prices while still making black money. You get what I'm saying?
But how are we going to make white money if we don't like put value to our services? And that's just how I feel as a service provider, because I'm a service provider.
No,
I
no,
can't nickel and diamond folks.
no. You can charge. I'm a firm believer as an entrepreneur, because I'm an entrepreneur myself. Charge what you charge, right? And I've been trying to do this a lot more lately, but shop black and keep it in the black community. Because as my favorite Hotep Umar Johnson says, we're $4 trillion people, or I think $2 trillion people. Like there's so much money in the black community.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, we get the money and it leaves the community. Like, I think the average dollar in the black community is gone within like 10 seconds or something like that. Whereas Jews, they keep it in there for like weeks and days and years. And so do Asian people. Like, if you go to an Asian store right now, right? It's none but Asian people.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Asian supermarket, it's none but Asian people. Go to if you see an Asian that owns like a restaurant or something like that, it's nothing but Asian people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you go to even like with Jewish people or white people, whenever they own stuff, what do? Bring in their family, bring in a cousin that you barely know, bring in the friends or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had just met some, not just, but last year I had met some Indian people that like their children where they own like some car dealerships and like they own like their own private practices. And they were like, yeah, our parents all just hire each other for all their stuff. Like, whenever we get sick, we go to my uncle who's a doctor. Whenever we need a car, we go to my cousin who owns this dealership. And I'm like, dang. So like in my mind, I was just thinking, I was like, yo, they just keep all the money circulating within themselves. But then black people, they get some money and the first thing they do is like, they go spend it somewhere else. Oh, you go get some new Nikes.
Yeah.
You go get some, you go get a new car somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? And I was guilty of it too in the past. Like, I was super guilty of it. Like, I got some Pradas at home right now that I literally don't even wear no more. Like, it was dumb of me. But yeah, as of late, I've been trying to keep it more in the black community. And I think once we are able to keep it in the black community, like, we'll start making more to where we can start charging these prices and it's not killing people.
I don't know. I just feel like even as much as you would want society to get to that point, we've been so like systemically divisive by
Facts.
every system that we're a part of. So if you have different factors that come into play that just don't allow, I just don't see in my lifetime a huge kumbaya moment where there's just a black enlightenment when we realize that we are the key to our success.
I like that word, black enlightenment.
I just don't see that happening. And it's funny. I've had a conversation with my friend. Actually, we lived in New York at the same time because we were interning summer 2019. We're both, well, he's from Houston. I'm from here, both Black centers, right?
Yeah.
But we walked around Chinatown in Manhattan by the Manhattan Bridge or whatever. And he was just saying to me, like, do you see, like, this is a whole subsection of this major city that's all Asian. Chinatown's not just Chinese, but it's all Asian. They all patronize Asian. You may not even come across anybody who speaks English. All their menus are in whatever respective Asian tongue of owner. And they live in this community. If they live in a different part of the city, they come and shop in this community because they know that's where everything's coming from. And he's like, I just don't understand why Black people never got to this point. And I'm just like, in my head, and even when you just said it now, it came back to the forefront of my mind. How could we ever get there if we've been pent up against each other for however many centuries since we were brought off our homeland? We're put into different categories based off of beauty, colorism, economic standards. There is an elitism within our community based on economic background. It's just so ingrained into every fabric of our being. You would want it to be better, but could you honestly be upset with an individual, especially based on whatever environment that they came from, if they never get to that mental space where they feel that and live that and have those actions in their day-to-day lifestyle? You know what I'm saying?
No, I completely agree with you. And what I want to do is, what I think the solution would be for Black people is like, and I know people don't really like this idea, but I think all the billionaires and millionaires should just buy up the hood. Like, buy the hood up, you know what I'm saying? Get it out the name of these big corporate banks that own everything, or like these big private companies that own everything. Put it in Black people's name and just hire more Black people. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, but
I mean, there's always a but. Like I say, everything before a but is bullshit. But like I do completely agree with you. Like, we've been through so much as a people, even since, you know, the first like 17 slaves that came off that first slave ship. So
mhm.
even now, like, you know, we've had Jim Crow, we've had redlining, we've had racism, we had segregation, we've had all this, you know what I'm saying? And you know, we had the crack epidemic, we had the heroin epidemic, you know, we've had all this stuff against us that's been beating us down, you know, single motherhood, you know what I'm saying? Fathers locked up in jail, you know, racism in healthcare. I completely agree. I'm not gonna argue it, not 0%, 100% what you're saying is facts.
Mhm.
But and you're probably right. It's not going to happen in our lifetime. Like, and if it does, we'll be like 90 years old and being like, dang, I can't even imagine this. But it needs to eventually happen, because we're still going to be losing on the back end, on the economical side. The culture side, we got that down pat. Like, everyone wants to be Black until it's time to be Black. They want our
Mm.
hair, they want our lips, they want our abs, they want our butts, they want our arms, they want our skin. Like, you see like lighter skin, or you know, white, or even Asian people like cook themselves in the sun. Like, you're cooking yourself to look darker. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? You're going underneath the knife, the needle, to, you know, get a bigger butt, to get lip fillers, you know what I'm saying, to get this, you know, the waist that we will be having, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you want the thighs and all that, right? But on the economical side, like, it needs to happen eventually, to where 90% of the things that we buy are Black. Because you go to Asian person house, everything they buy is Asian.
Yeah. But let me tell you why, in my opinion, and I hope that the feds don't come for me, or somebody who has more intelligence than me side comes from me. Let me tell you why it will never happen in the Black community.
Ooh.
Let me tell you why. So we understand that to get to these positions of power, when you even, and money is power, period. It is what it is. When you get to these certain positions of power, you have to be able to work within certain institutions. It doesn't matter how small of an entrepreneur you start off as. In order to get to certain tax brackets, you have to start to, I don't want to use the word collude because there's a negative connotation to that, but you have to start to shake hands, kiss babies with the right kind of people to get to a certain economic point, or else you will get shot down. At the end of the day, I'm not talking no Illuminati shit or anything like that, but just like how institutions and organizations work, you have to smooth your way up, whether it's politically, whether it's in the private sector, the banking sector, the real estate sector, and that's where wealth comes from. You would have to have friends in higher places. A pro-Black, openly pro-Black person will never be able to get to those points because they will not get past the gatekeeper, because they understand in terms of what that would mean to the downfall of the system. If someone who's openly pro-Black got to a certain point, and even if you have those sentiments deep down, there's only so much intermixing that you can do with certain energies until it starts to dilute whatever your core value is. So I promise you, no matter how much you're revered in your community, if you get past a certain point, like a Black billionaire, at the end of the day, I can almost guarantee they're not finna be like, yeah, let me help my people. Because the resources of their power, because the people at the heads of these systems is not going to let somebody with that amount of money be able to be, you can still be, I guess at that point, an ally technically, but you can make a press and a PR release can make anything look like something it's not. Mm-hmm. So honestly, truly, once you start to get to a certain point, everything is no longer communal. it becomes individualistic. So, and that's for anybody. I don't think white men are pulling white men up because they're white men. I think they're pulling people up who will benefit them. Period. And that's how it gets in other communities as well. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing it because of a commonality per se. You're doing it for your personal benefit. So, as a Black person, knowing that the person with the highest power in the room who can benefit me the most is probably not going to look like me, the likeliness of them, honestly, truly, and I'm saying like the most powerful people, if you look at the most wealthy Black people in the world, they're not doing shit, not for real.
Facts.
Community anymore. If you really look at it,
I would say the only like that I can think of is probably LeBron James. He's the only one that I know that's actually put down like millions and millions of dollars to like, okay, bet like I can't really help, the adults, but I can try to help this generation of kids be better and do better. He's like the only one that I could think of at this point, because Oprah definitely not doing it.
that
Beyonce and Jay-Z definitely aren't. They're helping a little bit, but it's like cute little PR stuff.
it's PR stuff.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to think. I really can't even think of any. Michael Jordan definitely not doing it. Yeah, I think the only person that's actually trying to do it for real is LeBron James. And I thought when he opened that school up and took 25% stakeholder in it and giving those people or those kids, the 3 colleges that they can go to for free and he'll pay for it. I thought when he did that, there would be more people to follow. Like I was like, okay, bet, like, we got the first stepping stone, you know what I'm saying? The next couple of years, there'll probably be some more people, whatever. And it just never happened. And I was like, to your point, like this is to your point, like it just never ever came. And I was just like, dang, bro, like the first step really is, because I'm not saying everyone needs to go to college, but everyone needs education.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I was like, okay, bet once you get some education from the high schools, because then you can go to a trade and get your own money. You know what I'm saying? There was a guy that fixed my dryer the other day for like 170, and he's making like almost 200K a year, and he just drives around fixing dryers all day. Like that's just what he do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dang, man, like there really aren't any rich Black people out here, buying up the hood. I mean, you got Killer Mike doing it, but he's not rich like that.
He's not ever going to be rich either. He's too openly Black.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't tried to shut him down or try to kill him or something like that. But yeah,
and not I rock with Mike, period. Yeah. He's too openly I'm pro-Black to get past a certain point in this system.
I believe it. There's probably some truth to that. Actually, that's 100% truth to that, because they're probably not going to get behind it. Because for some reason, when people hear pro-Black, they think that is like anti-white or anti-Asian or anti-whatever. And I'm just like, that's not what? Like maybe that's what y'all be doing, but that's not what we doing. Pro-Black me, I just like Black folk. I just want to help Black folk, make sure Black folk are okay, do the best what they can. And they're probably going to ruffle some feathers, because I said it on my first podcast like a while ago, was I think Black people need to stop supporting so many other movements. Like, it sounds really messed up, but if you look at, LGBTQ or, the women's movement or even the Asian movement, whatever, those groups or demographics are going to be okay because the white people in those demographics are going to get what they want. Mm-hmm. Right. Like even like most recently, right, and don't get me wrong, I'm all for everyone being equal. Like, I love my women, love everybody, you know what I'm saying? LGBTQ, Asians, all of them, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want anyone to be bullied or discriminated against ever. Mm-hmm. But it seems like whenever they get something, suddenly everything dies down and Black people are still fending for themselves. Mm-hmm. Like recently with the whole Stop Asian Hate, right? Bro, that made me so I almost like broke my laptop when I saw that they got the Asian bill passed within like 3 weeks. And then like I think the next week there was an anti-lynching bill up in the Senate and they denied it. I almost broke my lap. Dog, I was so mad. Yeah. And then the crazy part is all those Asians that were marching and doing everything, Suddenly they just disappeared. Everything was gone. And I was just like, and I was in a group chat with because I'm in a group chat with some people that I know from Emory, and they're all Asian. And I was asking them, and I was like, bro, like not, and I know like they're down for the cause, and that's cool, you know what I'm saying, on an individual level. Like I know they ride with black people, you know what I'm saying? They march for Black Lives Matter. They've been like, what can I do to help, blah, blah, blah. And that's cool. But I was like, yeah, I was like, as a community, like Asians don't really like us. Like at all. Because it was just so shocking to see the 180 that happened with the Asians saying racism is so bad and stop this, and oh my God, this shouldn't happen. And they were marching and protesting and all this stuff. And then not Asians per se, but the media and then some famous Asian people tried to make Black Lives Matter the head of their Asian movement. And I was like, okay, that's kind of weird, but sure, racism is bad. They got the bill, nothing happened for us, and we were just stuck. And then now that the Olympics are in Tokyo, we getting all like, have you seen what's been happening with the Olympics?
I just feel like they're blackballing all the black athletes.
Bro, did you hear what happened to Nigeria's track team?
No.
So Nigeria's track team for the 4x1 women's relay qualified time-wise for the Olympics. So they were going to the Olympics, right? The Olympics denied their qualifications because the cones weren't set up correctly. The people who set up the cones were the Olympic officials. So the Olympics set up the cones incorrectly, made them run. They qualified, and they was like, okay, you can't run anymore because we set up the cones wrong. What? That's so.
All they have to do is set the cones back up right and beat the clock again.
Bro, no, like it had already passed. Like everything had already done. Because you have the trials for the Olympics, right? Like a certain time period. You do the trials, they send the times, you qualify. They just recently, like in the past like 2 weeks, told Nigeria's 4x1 female team that they couldn't run anymore.
How many times has a collective in my lifetime, I don't even know, like in my parents or grandparents, have we said as Black people that we need to stop even competing in the Olympics?
I don't even know, but this year it's been so blatant. Because with Sha'Carri, like at first with Sha'Carri, I was like, okay, she just fumbled the bag. It is what it is. And even you have Black people saying, yo, she knew the rules. And even she said it. She's like, I know the rules and I did what I did. And she was like, it is what it is. And we was like, cool. And then you hear about the swimming caps for the Black athlete, for the girl who made the Olympic trials in the US. And they was like, well, you can't do that. And then you hear about the 2 Black female athletes in South Africa who have high testosterone. They couldn't do that. Then you heard about the woman who missed a drug test. And then now because she missed a drug test, she can't compete in the Olympics. So she couldn't do that. And it just seems so blatant. And not saying that it's because it's in Tokyo that is happening, but I'm just like, dog, like to me, a conspiracy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is super anti-Black for some reason. I know the Asian community doesn't really mess with the Black community. I don't know. It was just so blatant to see the racism, especially on the female side of things, happen. Because I don't know of any males that they've disqualified yet.
Black women are just holding the whole universe on our back, bro. So
facts.
I just bad for the women as individuals, because this is like, as an athlete, your whole life has been dedicated to, that's the highest of the high. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's blatantly disrespectful and disregarding to their entire life's work on like incidentals that have nothing to do with them. However, I think as a whole, maybe we should take it and see, okay, what are we going to do going forward? You know what I'm saying? Honestly, it is what it is. I'm not surprised by us being pushed out of any of these systems that were, and this goes back to my point in my personal life in terms of corporate. I don't like imposing on spaces that were not created for me, because they, however broad you want to take that, are going to make it extremely difficult for me to succeed in those spaces.
I think that we as the Black community, like I've always told myself once I saw that Nigeria's 4x1 track team couldn't compete, I had told myself that the only things that, because I usually watch like the entire Olympics because I'm an athlete. I just like to see the pinnacle of athleticism. Like, because I believe that in sports, there's no discrimination. Like, either you're the best or you're the worst. Like, it is what it is. But seeing the discrimination now, like so blatant and so obvious, I've told myself the only things I was going to watch during the Olympics were to watch the Black people compete in their respective sports. The ones that are still able to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch anything else. I don't think that we as Black people should watch the other parts of the Olympics that we want to watch. You know what I'm saying? I know some people are going to watch swimming, some people are going to watch gymnastics or whatever. Mm-hmm. And even then, I think we should only specifically watch like the Black people compete. Like, don't watch anything else, because you got to hit them where it hurts, and where it hurts is the money. Mm-hmm. And if you hit them with the money, then, maybe deep down inside, they'll still be racist, but at least openly they can't discriminate against you. Because to your point, like, why do you want to be in a space that doesn't like you? Because you wouldn't go to a party full of people that don't like you. Like, you would, if my friend told me they were going to party, I'd be like, bro, they all hate you. Why are you going? I'm like, I'm going to go because they told me to. Like, no. So I do agree with you on that point. Like, if the space is not meant for us, like, why are we going? So yeah, like, to your point, that is pretty smart. But yeah, so I just wanted to wrap it up. We had a pretty good, it's been about like an hour. It's been about, yeah, it's been, yeah. So we had a pretty good podcast. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on, or, wrap up with, or anything that you want to throw out there as some advice for the ladies out there, anything that you feel strong on?
I just say do whatever makes the best decision for your life personally. Take out all the naysayers and social media. Don't listen to it, because it just be hyping you up to things that honestly you may not ever be able to accomplish. But do what you can, and whatever you can do it as hard as you can. And that may sound a little condescending, but girl, self-reflect and you'll know what I'm talking about. So,
and shout your business one more time.
Yes, it is K&L Co. Creative Agency. You can go to my website at knl.company and follow me on all social. It's Kiya Nichelle in some form or fashion. That's KIYANICHLL.
All right, y'all. So that was a good session with my good friend Kiya, and I'm actually gonna book you soon. I'm trying to support more Black businesses, and you're a friend, so I'm gonna book you soon.
Yes, patronize my business.
Yes, feed the community. But yeah, so and also shout out to Kiya for coming on. Thank you so much. It was an honor having you, going to get the Black woman some spotlight, you know what I'm saying? And you're probably the awesome, coolest, blackest woman I know ever.
My name on Twitter is Black Women's Game Account.
Kiya, till next time we meet again. Love you so much. Man versus out.